And what you end up with is clumps like this that look like grass. I actually like it when garlic does this. It means it's just the easiest thing in the world to grow green garlic. And what Hi friends, welcome to Sunflower Hill. I'm Tina and I'm a single mum homesteading in Victoria in Southern Australia. So welcome if you're new and welcome back if you're not. Today I'm going to talk about garlic and how you can have garlic all year without having to go through this problem. This is garlic that I grew and saved a couple of years ago, literally 2 years ago now. And if you have a look at these cloves, you can kind of squish them. They're really squishy, squidgy. And they got that way quite quickly because it doesn't actually keep that long when it's dried unless it's in really perfect conditions. So you can basically grow garlic and you can keep it in cloves and bulbs for my experience 3 to 4 months, and it's still really lovely and good. There's other ways you can preserve it. Of course, you can freeze it, you can break it up or crush it and dry it. You can preserve it as a powder if you dry it, or as granules. But if you really don't have time to do all that, or you can't be bothered, there is another way to have garlic all year. And that is because garlic is one of those few very cool plants where the whole plant is edible, except the roots. I have never tried eating the roots and probably they're not very nice, but basically the whole plant is edible. And that means that garlic grown this time of year can be eaten now. It's called green garlic and it's what we're going to look at today in this video. So simple, but such a game changer. It's growing up in my winter run of the Emporium. So let's go have a look right now. But I'm telling you, you don't need an Emporium. It's super easy to grow. It's like grass. Let's go have a look. All right, let's have a look up here. This is the winter run. I'm growing my winter veggies. Now you'll see something else is going on in here, and that will be the subject of another video. I'm setting up the polytunnel here for growing things. Yeah, I'll talk about that in another video. There's a lot in that, but there is something in that we can have a look at right now, which is that you can easily grow garlic in a pot. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. So when I put that video out, I'll talk about the mix I'm using and how I'm doing this. But just for now, know that you can very, very easily grow garlic in pots. It takes up very little room. It's one of those crops where you can get a lot out of a small space. So even a pot this size with some compost, decent mix in it, you can get stacks of garlic, probably all the garlic you need. Right, let's go have a look out here. Okay, so this is the winter run, what it's doing at the moment. I'm actually going to do a little video on that as well soon. There's a few things going on here, but the thing I'm most interested in for today is what looks like a mess. It looks like weeds, it looks like grass. There's a little bit of grass along the edge there, but actually what most of these green grassy looking things are is garlic. The reason for that is that last year I tried to grow a crop up here of garlic for sale, to sell. It didn't really work out, just in terms of practicalities, in terms of the amount of work I had to put into it to get very little out, and in terms of local friends who had already done it, telling me how little they actually got out of it. Everybody was doing it. So what I did was nothing. I just harvested what I wanted and the rest literally just was ignored. And we had an extremely dry year. We still are having an extremely dry year. We have not yet. This is what I do when I come out to the gardens. I can't resist pulling out weeds. So basically this whole run just looked like it was just blasted and nothing. I had the chooks in here, which was great. They cleared up all of the weeds, but I was left with a very dried out dirt basically. So what I did was come in here, and you can have a look at that in my autumn planting video, but what I did was come through and put lots of horse manure and other things in here and fix up the soil. That's literally all I did, and then I've planted other things in there. But what ended up happening, and these are some of my winter crops growing from seed here, doing quite well. I think, what are these guys? Turnips. Ooh, brilliant. I love turnips. They're such a great staple crop. They do really well. But what is also growing here is all of this garlic, because even though I covered it in a thick layer of compost, you can see how thick this straw is, this compost layer is. And again, go back to the autumn planting video. I'll link that right at the very end of this video so you can have a look. The garlic still came up through because the cloves and corms, the part of the garlic that I should have harvested, I didn't harvest, so it just regrew. And what you end up with is clumps like this that look like grass but are actually garlic. If you look underneath, you'll find they are garlic. So what does this mean for us now? Does it mean this is absolutely a waste of space because these garlic plants won't grow proper big individual clumps of cloves, the big corms that we like to eat? Or does it mean that there's actually a purpose to this? And yeah, it's the latter. Wow, hello. You got something to say about garlic? I actually like it when garlic does this, and it's so easy. It means it's just the easiest thing in the world to grow green garlic. And what's green garlic? It's garlic. It's just this. That is not green garlic. You have to be a little careful when you're growing garlic because it looks a lot like grass. But green garlic is just this. And you can plant garlic properly if you like and have it as green garlic, or you can just leave it the corms in from the previous season's garlic and just let them grow. That's literally all there is to it, and you can eat every part of this. So, well, again, apart from the roots, chop off the roots and then you can eat the rest of it. You can chop up the leaves and have them in a salad or use them in cooking. Just cook them lightly, maybe put them in at the end. They're basically using them as a culinary herb. And this part here, you just chop up in the same way that you would chop up a garlic clove and just use that in place of a garlic clove. Probably this part here where it's nice and firm and it has this, depending on the variety, these ones have pink, but I just pull off the outer skin and you're left with that. You just use that in the same way that you would use a garlic clove. You can chop it up, you can crush it, and use it in your cooking in exactly the same way. It's garlic in the same way that a clove is. And you know what? That's it. That is it. That is as hard as green garlic is. Just let it grow and pull it out. And the beauty of it is that when it's in these clumps, you can pull out the individuals like this. You can pull out these individuals and all through winter you can eat them. And what I do is leave the biggest, strongest one. So I'd probably leave this one here because it's nice and big and strong. And then you can use all of the rest of its little clump mates as green garlic. And then at the end of the season, you've got one that will grow into a nice big new clump of cloves, a new corm. And you can use that as traditional garlic. But in the meantime, I'm going to take these in and I'm going to cook them into tonight's dinner. It's that simple. It's really that simple. So the difference between growing green garlic like that and growing garlic for its corms, so for the bulbs and corms, the bulb that you get and the corms that you eat, is that you plant them individually. You plant the corms individually, and this will form a whole bulb down the bottom. So these are elephant garlic that I planted in the autumn planting. They're doing super well. They seem very happy. And these are leeks, some of my perennial leeks, doing super well, or just leeks grown perennially, I should say. They're not any special kind of leek. If you have a look at the leek video, you can see that. But this is how you grow garlic individually. So the only difference with the green garlic, I mean, you can plant them like this and eat them as green garlic. There's no problem with that whatsoever. They'll just grow bigger. It's great. But it's just super easy to just leave the the whole thing in from the last season and get these little clumps. But you don't have to do that. It's if you want to spend the time separating out the individual cloves and planting them like this and having bigger green garlic, that is completely up to you. So this is a corm of garlic. This is the big lumpy bit that you'll get if you grow those individual garlics. The plant was growing here and you've just pulled it out of the soil and dried that, hung it somewhere to dry in early to mid-summer when it was ready, and that's dried over winter. So if you actually want to plant your own green garlic to get it started, you will need to do one of two things. Normally when you plant garlic, you'll take one of these cloves and hoik it out like this, and you'll plant that individually. And that one clove will make an entire one of these. So you plant that separately. Whoops. So that clove we've just taken out of there will make an entire new corm like this, with a bunch of cloves in it, with all of those cloves in it. And that is how you plant garlic in winter. And I'll plant one now to show you. This end down, where it's been attached to the roots. See, it's been attached to the roots there. This flat end, and it could not be simpler. Make a wee gap and just pop it in. Cover it so you can just see the top poking out. Just cover it. It'll be fine if it's completely covered. As I said, these guys were absolutely covered, like, I don't know how deep, 20 centimetres, 6 inches deep. They're still, well, no, that's a complete lie, isn't it? Because they're not that deep. But they were well covered with mulch and they still came up. So that's how to plant an individual one to get a clump like this. But if you just want green garlic in clumps like this, you can just whack in the whole thing. So that's what I've left behind when I accidentally or unintentionally but happily grew green garlic, and that it happens very commonly. Unless you're very, very organized with your garlic and you get every single one, you'll get these little clumps coming up. You'll miss one and it will grow into this. So each of these little plantlets, each of these green garlics here, each of them has grown from one corm. So that is one plant. And so the clump of them has come from all of these corms sitting there together and growing in a clump. And I did tell a bit of a lie before. They actually, well, it wasn't a deliberate lie, I just didn't do the maths. They actually last a lot longer than 3 to 4 months. I dried these out, would have been January, I suppose, Christmas, early January, and it's now July. They're still doing super well, and I'll expect them to last until spring. So you'll actually get about 8 or 9 months out of them. Once they start getting to that point, they actually start shrinking into themselves. They won't be all juicy and lovely anymore. They sort of go dry, and they put all of their energy into growing one of these. So they'll just regrow. At that point, if you've saved garlic and it starts doing that, just whack it in the ground, plant it, and then you've got more garlic. Garlic is one of those things you only need to buy it once. And you can see this one corm of garlic, you get multiple cloves. There's probably, you can get 10 to 20 new plants, and each of those will produce 10 to 20 more cloves like this. So garlic is just such a good crop. It's such a good thing to grow. You'll have it forever. And you can have green garlic like this over winter, as well as the more traditional using cloves. And there's no shortage of it. So it grows in winter when there's not, as much variety. So great stuff. Green garlic. Highly recommend it. All right, friends, that's it for today. This is a really simple one, and I wanted to put that out right now while the getting's good for your green garlic. Well, if you're in Australia in the southern hemisphere where it's winter, because it's the ideal time to grow garlic. If you're in the northern hemisphere and it's summer, you're probably growing your garlic towards harvest now. You'll be growing the individual culms, and you'll be wanting to get those nice big bulbs to preserve, usually around midsummer. Here it's harvest is sort of early summer, it's around Christmas, so early to midsummer is when you'll be expecting to harvest your garlic. And when we get to that point, I will do another video on harvesting garlic and what it needs to look like, what you want to look for when you're harvesting it. So but there are 3 different ways that you can eat garlic, and this green garlic is one of them. You can also eat it as the cloves, or there's a third type of crop that you can get from garlic as well. So I will show you that in summer. But now, winter, green garlic, put it in your soups, put it in your stir fries, use it wherever you would use garlic. It is just so good and it's so easy. And you know what? If you haven't planted it yet, you can still do it, because it doesn't need the time to grow. So all you need to do is whack in some garlic right now to have green garlic. All right, friends, thank you very much for joining me for this short but really nice video on an aspect of food growing that not everybody is aware of, and using the whole plant. I'm really into that. I'm really into not wasting things, and really into using every part that you can, both from a sustainability point of view and also from a food security point of view. And garlic is just such an easy one. It's so easy to grow. All right, friends, that's it for today. Thank you so much for joining me. There'll be more coming along soon. I'll also be doing more visits, like the visit to Perry Cho's garden. There's a really interesting, cool one coming up soon. And there's also going to be more from my garden, because my winter garden's going pretty well at the moment. So I'll do a tour of that and show you what's growing. But for now, it's hooroo from me, hooroo, and it's hooroo from them, hooroo.